What is up? What is up? What is up, everybody? It is Phil Nagy. It is Kit Nagy. It is the new Nagy on Sports, at least in the way that we are bringing you. You saw a waiting video. You saw our video that we had way back at the beginning of the channel coming back out. We're real excited about Season 12, our 12th Simmed Browns season, and it starts right now. We're super pumped to be with you. Kit, how are we doing today?
Oh man, so excited. New rig, new setup, new season, all the news, and first time ever joining from on the road, still in Coeur d'Alene, Idaho here, but getting to join from anywhere because of the new setup, which is pretty sweet.
That's true, that's right. We sort of buried the lead there. Kit's not in his usual spot, so he does not just have to contribute in the chat, but we are very excited to be here, and again, so grateful to the generous gift of one of our longtime subscribers, Kymegas. So this stream brought to you by Kymegas. Also, if it looks any differently, hope so. We're playing off of a PC now, got the new game loaded up. And again, we are about to get started right away. Again, thanks so much for joining us, being a part of this. You'll have to give me a little bit of leeway here as we get things going. Otherwise, Dustin Hopkins is going to kick this one off. Bam! The 2025 season has begun into the dynamic landing zone. It's going to be taken by the Packers, moving to the right side and up to about the 25. That's where Obo Okoronkwo and Alex Wright make the tackles. Jordan Love into the game. Remember in Madden that it automatically will have the starters play for 1 quarter in Game 1, 2 quarters in Game 2, and 3 quarters in Game 3. So that's how it works.
Yeah, that's right. That's right, and as we obviously saw, that's not how it happened in the preseason.
No.
But that's okay. Madden is going to do what Madden's going to do, and we'll get a chance to see the starters, and that'll be fun.
Including Nick Chubb. I could have taken him out, but whatever. It's preseason.
That's right.
Thornhill makes a nice tackle.
Doesn't count.
That Josh Jacobs run goes for 2 yards. Now Jordan Love with trips to the right side. He's back to pass. Love now. Pressure coming from the Browns. He'll zip it over the middle. Got him in. And a little bit of a angle route out of the backfield to his running back Josh Jacobs, and Jacobs beat Newsome for a first down.
And how about Newsome getting off that injury list, back to practice here soon after some hamstring injury? Good on him.
Not just hamstring injury, surgery. Same with
Surgery,
Dalvin Tomlinson.
Yeah, meant to say surgery. You're right.
That's
Absolutely.
okay.
Even more.
Flag flies on the play in the area of holding, and that's exactly what's going to happen, and the referee still can't point the right direction. Rasheed Walker, right tackle.
Oh, no. NCAA hasn't figured out what's wrong.
I know. We haven't got it figured out. They'll back him up. 1st and 20 now. Jacobs up the middle, and he runs into a flying in there, number 6. That's Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah, who slows him down right at the line of scrimmage. And good play there. Welcome in, Dwayne. And again, welcome in, Mitchell. Good to have you guys on the brand new season. Madden 25 is the game that has been loaded. Miles coming. Quick dump to the right side, and Jacobs hit by Newsome right at the original line of scrimmage. And another penalty coming. And more offensive holding here. Okay, Royce Newman, the right guard.
Yep, more pointing the wrong way. And, of course, we just saw Michael Hall in the previous tackle. Obviously, news coming out that he's probably starting out on the commissioner's exempt list.
Yep, indeed. More flags on the play. Holy smokes. Maybe the holdings turned up a little bit too high here on these sliders that we found. There he is again. Hey, Carter, yes. Welcome in. Rasheed Walker struggling. Now, in his defense, he's trying to block Myles Garrett, but 3 holding penalties is a lot.
Myles doesn't tend to get those calls,
well, that's
unfortunately.
Madden doesn't know that at least, as Delpit flies in there to make a nice TFL. 3rd and 39 for the Packers. Yes, apparently they haven't gotten that. LA, welcome in. Yes, it is Madden 25. Carter, good to have you on, brother. Back to pass now, Jordan Love. They'll set up screen to the right side, and it's complete. A screen pass that worked. Jacobs has a lot of blockers, but no way he's going to get 39 yards on it. 4th and 24, and the Packers will punt it away. Our first chance to see the Browns offense.
Certainly like what you see from the start. It's here on the first drive for the defense. Obviously, we didn't see that in the preseason, but they look good here. Lots of holding penalties assisting that, which, again, we already talked about how that's probably not overly realistic when Madden is calling all of the holds on Myles Garrett, which seems to be every snap in the NFL, but they just never get called.
They sure don't. There is Deshaun Watson coming out onto the football field. And yes, as you can see, for those of us, to me, it was not about his overall rating. It's where he slotted. And there were just quarterbacks ahead of him in their rankings that I just couldn't agree with. So we did goose him just a touch before the game started. You can see now he's up to an 82, which still might be undervalued, but better than the 75 that Madden thought he was with a 60 awareness. It's like, come on, dude.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, I couldn't. Just absolutely unconscionable and not even close to realistic. Madden needs to do better.
Nice throw to Elijah Moore on the first play. They get a first down. Defense excited about it on the sideline over there. Watson now. Patented 11 personnel. Think we're going to see an awful lot of it. He's back to pass now. Quick little dig to the left side. He's got Cooper. First down for Coop. And he'll be knocked to the ground by several Packer defenders, led there by the cornerback Eric Stokes, wearing number 21 in the white and yellow.
Yeah, Packers defense giving Cooper lots of space to work underneath there.
Here's Judy to the right side. So a little Cooper, a little Judy, 4-yard throws. Again, Madden thinks that the Browns offense is this West Coast zone scheme, which to them means lots of short passes. We'll see if that's actually real or not, but that's what Madden thinks, and we haven't done any playbook manipulation yet. Firing right side of the Chief for a first down to the 5-yard line.
Yeah, beautiful little seam buster right there, splitting the zone in between from the Chief and stretching the field a little bit north and south. We were talking about just now the short passes, and actually expect the Browns in reality to extend the field quite a bit more. In fact, we've already seen it in the preseason a lot more than we're used to, with them looking to stretch the field and have success.
He sure is a big human being, isn't he, Carter? See him on that right tackle side. Conklin starting on the left for us here. Motion coming from the Chief. Haven't seen this orbit motion from the Chief. They'll give it to Chubb. He'll put his foot in the ground and then be met in the middle of that defense by the Packers linebackers there. Number 56, that's Edgerrin Cooper. Remember, we had him in our virtual offseason draft once upon a time. Hey, Keith, welcome in. Here comes Chubb again, trying to get to the outside. Nowhere to go, and a flag to boot, as Smith got himself out there and now holding also in the wrong direction on Wyatt Teller. That'll back him up to the 16. Hey, Karen, welcome in.
Keith, I'd say no. Not any particularly surprising cuts for the Browns, getting down to 53. Keep in mind, as Watson's going to scramble out here to the right and get a little bit of space, but not a lot. Keep in mind that the Luke Whitmiller in particular is going to need to go on IR, so that's going to be somebody that they're looking to bring back. That could be like a Sam Kamara. That could be a couple other guys that they might look to bring back to the 53 once they've successfully gotten Whippler onto IR, because that doesn't immediately end the season, so they could bring him back off of IR later in the season if you do it this way, which is why there will be some cuts that and it depends on who they want to do that with, but no, I don't think any of the cuts that they had were all that surprising. Ika, if anything, is we obviously know that Barry likes to hold on to his draft picks and give them an opportunity to develop, but he Clearly wasn't developing the way they wanted him to, as he was really having a difficult time, in particular with his anchoring. He was just getting blown off his spot pretty consistently throughout his time with Cleveland so far. And so they pulled the cord early on him, which, although I wouldn't call it surprising based on his lack of development, is probably the most, if you want to call it surprising.
Sure.
Only for the fact that AB does tend to move on from draft picks very quickly.
I would also assume potentially that he's a very likely practice squad candidate if somebody else doesn't pick him up.
Yep.
And remember that today's 53 is not even necessarily tomorrow's 53. Like, this is just the first one, and you have seen plenty of times where, Andrew Berry has cut a veteran, with a wink-wink agreement that, hey, we're going to sign you again tomorrow once we can get so-and-so onto our practice squad or whatever. So you remember last year they did that with Michael Dunn. They did it with Kunashik, stuff like that. So
yeah, Maurice Hurst too. Yeah, he was another one that
correct.
People were freaking out that they cut. And
yes.
You're like, no, they're going to bring him back. And sure enough, he had a great season for the Browns.
Correct. So yes, so things like Michael Hall, where his roster status is, we already talked about the PUP list to start the year for Chubb. It sounds like Nyheim Hines is going to be on that to start the list as well. So they've got a lot of flexibility, but you do cut guys, you do expose them to other teams. Now, they are free agents at that point, so they do need to negotiate, and so that's why sometimes you can talk to a veteran and say, hey, we're going to cut you, but I promise we're going to sign you back tomorrow, so please don't go sign with another team, even though they could.
That's right, they could. But, Browns have finally built themselves a good organization that, players want to play for, and that makes a big difference when you're looking to do this kind of stuff, because you can't get away with that kind of stuff if you're in an organization that people don't want to stay in.
That's true.
You play that you play that card, and you may not be keeping those players if they're not under contract, even for a day. But keep in mind with Ika, back to that really quickly, he was a third-round draft pick. I mean, maybe some people may think that was a reach for the Browns, but there very well may be another team that had him graded highly on their board that want to take a shot. It's kind of like AB does with guys that are highly drafted with potential that they feel like they can bring them into their system, maybe develop them a little bit differently, and have a chance for that talent to meet out as they had hoped in their draft grading.
A big shot down the right side, and somehow Jaden Reed, between two Brown defenders, is able to squeeze the rock in there. Jordan Love, talk about putting it where only his guy can catch it. Look at this throw again on the replay. Right between Delpit and Ward, and he makes a great catch there and then goes to the ground, able to hold on. Good play there for the Packers on offense.
Downright impressive. Very good coverage even from the Browns, but just a better throw beats the coverage right into the hands. And good catch as well.
Trips to the left side for Love. Now he's going to try to leave the pocket. He'll take off 50, 40, or excuse me, that's a 2, Phil, not a 5. That was the 20, not the 50, and he slides down at the 17. Hey, Wendell, welcome in.
And hopefully that answered your question. Hopefully that answered your question. Long-winded, I know, but hopefully that gave you an idea of kind of what we're thinking here on the cut-down day.
Neutral zone infraction on Mike Hall there as LaFleur looks on. He'll take those 5 yards. And now 2 tight ends line up to the right side, and A.J. Dillon is a fullback. So they'll go heavy here with some 22 personnel. They'll try to stretch it to the right side. Josh Jacobs, the new running back, he's patient to get around the corner, and he got the first down before Juan Thornhill brings him to the ground. And now first and goal for the Packers, trailing 3-0. Quick little throw. Left side is going to be picked off. Greg Newsome jumped the route. He might go. 20, 30. Is anybody going to catch him? 50, 40, 30. Nobody will. 15, 10, 5. Newsome to the house. A massive pick 6 for the Demolition Dogs.
Let's go. That was an incredible pick right there. Just great awareness underneath, recognizing the route developing behind him, pops underneath it, and then takes that one away and has the no hesitation straight to the house. And it's only the no hesitation that allows him to go for 6 all the way down the field, because if he even hesitates for a moment, that one's going to be tackled and just a turnover.
What a play there for Newsome. And just like that, the Browns with 3 minutes to go of starters left. They were about to be down 7-3. Instead, 10-0 the other way. And Greg Newsome, again, obviously didn't play in the preseason for real, but I'm not going to sit there and try to make every single roster thing exactly the same. However, we will in the regular season, of course. If you're just new to the channel or if you've been around for a long time and you forget, when we are in season, we don't need quite as much fake football because we get real football. So Kit and I will be simming one Browns game per week, kind of leading up to the actual matchup. So sometime next week we will do the Browns and Cowboys game leading up to the real Browns and Cowboys game. So that's kind of the rhythm of the channel. And if that's the case, and we know that Nick Chubb is out, then I will take Nick Chubb out and those kinds of things. But right now, we're just letting them go. And again, do appreciate everybody being on. Phil Nagy, Kit Nagy, Nagy on Sports is the channel. Picked up another 2 subscribers the other day. Thank you if that was you. We appreciate that very much. I think we had that Cowboys fan that was on the Super Bowl, and he subscribed, which was fun.
That's right. Yeah, I definitely appreciate the subscriptions and all of our subscribers all along the way. Couldn't do it without all of you.
Woot woot indeed. That one's going to be knocked away as they look at Thornhill, who was on coverage. 2nd and 10 now again. Starters will come out in 2:36. And so far, at least, we haven't seen the Browns try to run a screen pass, but I actually did start the game as the Browns. So if there are other roster changes that you would like to see, just remember that they will only do one set of substitutions. So you will see Jameis for the remainder of this game. And if you really want to see DTR or Huntley, just throw that in the chat, and I'll be happy to acquiesce that request at the appropriate time. Love to the left side. I did think it was interesting what we had talked about the whole time, which was that DTR was the safest of all the quarterbacks. Well, reporting, lo and behold, comes out today that both Huntley and Winston are available to a team if they would like to make a trade. Huh.
That's right.
Wonder where you heard that from.
Mm-hmm.
Another holding call. We're definitely going to have to turn down the holding sliders. This is getting too realistic with all these holding calls, which in itself is unrealistic. This time it's going to be the left tackle, Zach Tom, because Myles Garrett never gets that many holding calls. Although, hey, good for Stefanski. He's going to decline this one, and they'll take the 4th down in the punt as Whelan punts this thing away, Nyheim Hines. It'll be interesting to see who the kick and punt returners are with Hines out for the first 4 weeks.
That's right. It certainly is an interesting question, especially since they didn't maintain a bona fide punt returner in particular on in the receiving core. Jalen Darden and
Prochet.
Some of the other guys that had Prochet, some of the guys that they haven't had that have had experience in that are not on the roster, at least right now. But remember, the 53 they have today is not the same thing as the 53 they'll go into the Cowboys game with. This is not the finalized roster. This is just the initial 53. And we already talked about stuff they're already gonna do, like Whippler to IR. That'll free up a space. Then they'll sign somebody back. That could be a Prochet.
Yep. I understand that he's still with us, Wendell, but remember like a week ago everybody was like, oh, they're shopping DTR. It's like, actually, they're shopping the other two. They're definitely not getting rid of DTR.
Yep. You know, they listen to offers. They'd be silly not to.
Sure, yeah, no, they pick up
Nobody was willing to wow them.
Correct, yeah, they're picking up the phone and listening for sure. Welcome in, Mason. Welcome in, 504. Good to have you guys on. The kickoff of season number 12, the 12th simmed Brown season on the history of Nagy on Sports. That is pretty wild to think about. And that is triple zeros. And that means the end of the first quarter and the end of the starters. There again is a look at Greg Newsome, who took this thing to the house. 99-yard pick 6 for Greg Newsome was the only touchdown of that first quarter.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun. That's when 504 said he joined us. Picked a good time for it, because that was certainly a fun one.
Absolutely, it was. All right. Yes, it has. Isn't that crazy to think, 504?
Right.
And Winston will be sacked right away there. In a McDuffie, I believe, is the linebacker. Winston pounds the turf.
Yep, 12 seasons and still looking to improve, as this is our very first sim here in our 12th season in the new rig. The new Nagy on Sports 3.0 look. If you go back at the beginning, we got some new goodies for you. A waiting room with a little soundtrack, our OG Nagy on Sports little video flash, and some good stuff.
That's right, going back to our roots.
That's right, and I also get to join here from a hotel room on the road for a very first time ever because I don't have to be at my home rig anymore to be on the broadcast.
That's right, which works really well with his new job where he's traveling half of the time.
That's right.
Earl, welcome in and go Browns as Bojorquez punts this one away after Winston took a couple of sacks. Keith, you are absolutely correct. Jerome Ford did, but without Nick Chubb in there, he is the starting running back. Yeah,
they're not going to risk him, expose him to potential injury at the kickoff return. Maybe on the kickoff returns he could see some, but you're probably not a punt returner.
That's fair. Maybe like an Elijah Moore potentially in a punt return situation. Yeah. Ball's out for the Browns, but it's going to be fallen on by the Packers. Look at Andre Dillard getting all the way down there to fall on it. There's the rookie Buki Watson in on the tackle.
I just don't know that they have anybody on the roster currently that has any actual experience doing it. Because it does take, at the NFL level, those punters could do some crazy things with the ball in particular.
Yeah.
A little less so on kickoff, but punt coverage, the way they can get those balls to move, it's difficult. And you gotta be on your game. Because that's some really important ball security there. Because it can absolutely change a game. A punt that turns over for the other, for the kicking team, puts you in scoring position almost immediately. Could be even a touchdown right off of it. That's something you got to be real careful with. So you want somebody with some experience back there doing that.
Keith, that's actually not a bad idea. Maybe something Jamari Thrash can start off doing. As potentially your 5th or 6th wide receiver. That's certainly not the worst idea I've heard of the limited ideas that I've heard. Yeah, Earl, that was fun. No, that was not Kit playing the bass. That was just me throwing some things together. And it looks like we might get a roughing of the punter.
Not me though, but do appreciate that as we're experimenting with some new things, and it sounds like they're going well, and very excited about it here at pnagsports. The new look.
As Myles Garrett somehow, I guess as a backup defensive end, he is now into the game as a special teamer, and he's going to rough the punter. So it's going to give a big first down for the Packers. And I don't even know who's playing quarterback for the Packers because they do not have a 0 on the roster. So I'm waiting for them to get a close-up on the back of his jersey here. I apologize for my lack of game planning. There's Samori Toure. I saw he got cut earlier today. So again, do appreciate it. Yeah, Mason, I like that from you too. A big year from Tillman potentially incoming. Left side throw and a slant, broken tackle, and now first down. That's Dontavian Wicks. Ronnie Hickman made a tackle to save the touchdown at the 16, but the Packers driving now to begin the second quarter.
Yeah, I certainly like everything we've seen from what seems to be a very deep wide receiver room now.
Yeah.
With 6 receivers, you really like what they're giving you, and pretty much interchangeable in a lot of respects. So very happy with what we have, even some potential that you could be just fine even with injury. Hopefully not, but you don't have to see it. But even if you did, feel like you still have a lot of firepower in that room, and like what you have there.
Absolutely. Up the middle of the handoff goes. Tony Fields in on the tackle. He's another one of the players who came back this week. That's Marshawn Lloyd, the rookie out of USC, by the way, on the carry. Still can't get your name on this quarterback. My apologies. Now pressure coming. Michael Hall will get there. It is first sack as an NFL player in our sim. Right there, and it's a big third down. Was that Pratt on the back? Is that Spencer Pratt, perhaps? The quarterback.
It's Pratt. Yeah,
okay, thank you. Like to me. I'm not sure why he's wearing number 0, but he is right now. That's Spencer Pratt, who is a rookie out of Tulane, I believe. If my Packers roster knowledge, yes, he's Michael Pratt. Excuse me, but he is a rookie out of Tulane. Haha, I thought Spencer, but it was Michael. He's supposed to be wearing number 17. That might be a new thing. They're going to try a long field goal, and the kick is up, and the kick is good. Greg Joseph, the former Cleveland Brown, boots it through. Remember, they were kicking 3 different kickers in that real Packers game against the Browns.
So, speaking of speaking of roster changes, especially number changes or any of those kinds of changes, one of the other big advantages we should talk about here with the new rig, with Phil now streaming from a PC, is that all of the modding, all of the roster changing, all of the hours he spends on making these rosters correct for all of you and trying to bring all the realism, now our capability to do that has greatly improved as a big pick here. Just an underthrown ball, and that one might potentially go.
It does.
It will.
To the house. Winston throws the interception, and Corey Ballantyne makes him pay for it.
He sure did, but as I was, a hold though is going to get back worst
No, I
possible
think it was
time.
the hold.
All right, sorry, I'm thinking hold on the offense.
That's because he keeps pointing the wrong way.
Right. I was thinking it was going to be a hold on the defense, but no, unfortunately, it was on Nick Harrison, so the touchdown, of course, will stand. But no, so a lot of potential here on the channel for more realism. We're very excited about that. It means we can potentially get into the actual game files and start modding stuff to, no kidding, bring as realistic of a game and product as we possibly can, and we're thrilled about it.
We surely are. All right. Dynamic kickoff taken by Jerome Ford. So there you go. Jerome Ford returning kicks. But again, remember, Nick Chubb did play in this game. All right. Well, so far, Jameis Winston has been sacked 3 times in a row and threw a pick 6. So let's get something else going here, Jameis. Still just 9:01 to go in the first half. Feels like it's lasted a long time. Motion coming now. Fake the tight end sweep, and then Ford will get, well, and look at him fall forward for a couple of yards. He deserved none, and he got 5. Keep those legs churning.
Yep, kind of on the back of one of the would-be tacklers, kept going forward.
11 personnel with Akins in there now. 3-step drop for Winston. Fires right side. A completion to a Brown, and it's David Bell for a first down to the 44-yard line for the Browns.
Yeah, it was a nice little route, one on the inside there on the quick slant route, and good throw from Winston in stride, and he's able to get upfield even beyond that.
Stretch it to Ford, and another holding call. All right, we're going to have to dial the holding back.
Yeah, clearly. That was a beautiful run, though.
It really was.
Cut as he just cut upfield beautifully there, and unfortunate for the holding because that was such a nice play from Ford.
Yeah, that's a significant amount of change. They were going to be on the opponent's 25, and now they're back to their own 34. Winston, blitz coming. They pick it up. Left side throw. Caught for a short gain by Jamari Thrash, right on cue. Again, do appreciate everybody being on. Phil Nagy, Kit Nagy, Nagy on Sports. It's the official beginning of Season 12, our 12th Simmed Brown season on the history of the channel. Pretty darn exciting to have that for you. Also, if the schedule allows, I will run the next college football playoff game for you tonight as well, which I believe is Kansas and Miami.
Well, it's 3rd and 10, prime Madden screen territory here. Let's see if they do it.
She's going to get sacked, but I think that left... I think the left defensive end didn't get back in time, and in fact, there it is. He's literally pointing exactly the wrong way for every penalty.
It almost makes you wonder, maybe they set up the official camera from the wrong side because you don't ever break your 90 there on your broadcast. Maybe they have the ref's camera on the other sideline.
Oh, picked again. Winston tried to go for Tillman. I guess it's kind of an arm punt there. Evan Williams gets up and intercepts it, but another underthrown ball from Jameis Winston.
And unfortunately underthrown because said absolutely had that guy beat. He was he had a step and a half. He would have had a touchdown if that was a well-thrown ball. Pressure
again, and Michael Pratt goes down. Second of the day for the rookie Michael Hall. Another flag on the play. They're setting up screen to the right side, and he'll just turf it right at the feet of Malik Heath, his wide receiver.
Well,
and offsides on the Browns.
Very heavy on the penalties here today, and as they keep saying in all the broadcasts, it's the preseason forever.
Well put. Well put. Also, make sure you hit the thumbs up video. That helps continue to grow our audience as well, especially if you are new to the channel. And more penalty flags out there. It's part of the reason this darn game's taken so long.
speaking of which, I don't think you were on the Seattle's call of the game, and I was really wondering about this, but I couldn't ask because you were watching you were watching Segura, right?
Correct. Yes.
In the Browns podcast.
Yep.
Yeah. So Rose and Segura were doing. Did you wonder at the one point where the head ref said something about it still being the preseason? On the call at the beginning of a call.
Was that in the? Was it in the second half?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, because I went to bed at halftime because it was like 11:30.
Yeah, he started the call with a "Hey, it's preseason for you guys too" or something, and then made the call.
Maybe his mic was already on and he was still talking to like his crew.
Well, no, I don't think he was talking to his crew. He was talking to the broadcast team.
Oh, interesting.
Because the broadcast team had literally just said something to the effect of, "Hey, it's just remember it's preseason for these guys as well for the refs." And he glibly comes back as he's turning his mic on with "It's preseason for you guys too."
Oh, interesting. I did not see that. No, I mean.
And so what that immediately brought to mind is like, wait, these refs are listening to the broadcast as they're calling this game?
That doesn't seem right? That doesn't feel like it could
But
be
it was
right.
the timing of it was flawless.
Interesting.
Like it was as he was responding. Go back and watch. I'm sure there's a clip of it, but
yeah, I'm sure. I mean, I've got it saved, but yeah. Because there was one where he's like, we're not going to do that one. We're going to do this one. Or he was like looking at the wrong sideline or whatever. Like there was another time in the first half where his mic was on and he sort of made like a playful banter sort of thing for everybody.
Yeah, this sounded to me, at least the timing of it sounded to me like perfectly timed as a response to the broadcast news, which was really weird.
All right, I'm going to put this in bold Sharpie on the notes sheet. Turn down holding. So much holding happening right now.
That's right. Yep, offside also. There's a lot of offside stuff.
Holy smokes.
Not quite as bad as the holding, but there's been an awful lot of offsides going on in this game too. Both offense and defense, but especially the defensive encroachment has been quite a bit.
Jermaine Afidi as well. Hey, Daniel, welcome in. That's the new Madden. I don't know. We haven't seen the Chiefs yet in the new Madden. We'll have to wait and see, I guess. Fired right side and caught for a gain of 19 to Jordan Akins.
Yeah, that was an impressive catch there from Akins. He absolutely was getting body blowed as he made that catch. Took a shot in the ribs, but able to maintain the catch anyway through the hit.
Motion coming. Here's that kind of orbit motion from the tight end. We saw the Chief run that once. They'll run the opposite direction of the eye candy and more holding. Womp womp. That's funny. 504, we'll take it. Yeah, he's literally got his back to the, because the Browns are on the correct sideline, the dog pound's on the correct side of the stadium. Like this is the vantage point of the real broadcast booth.
Yep.
So I don't know what's going on, but it's exactly backwards, and now Winston's going to get sacked again, and what started as a 3rd and 1 is going to end as a 4th and 19. Devontae Wyatt, the Georgia Bulldog. Take a bow, young man, as they'll punt this one away. Again, I do appreciate everybody being on. Phil Nagy, Kit Nagy on Sports. It's the beginning of season number 12, not just because it's the next Brown season we're simming, but this is also sort of the 3rd iteration of Nagy on Sports. So for the first time ever, I am streaming from a PC, not my PlayStation, using the technology called OBS, which we've used before, but not quite in this capacity. So if you go back to the very beginning of the waiting video, there'll be a little waiting screen that I made with some music that I made. And then our normal little intro video that used to be on all of the games at the very, very beginning of the channel will play. So you'll kind of get yourself like, oh, they went live, but you'll actually have a couple of minutes to sort of get yourself ready, because then we'll actually start from there. So pretty darn excited about that. Again, a very, very generous donation from one of our longtime subscribers, Kai Megas, who donated his gaming PC to the cause, which is a very, very grateful gesture. And after, what did we do today, Kit? Our 14th demo video?
Yeah.
I think we did about 14 little videos to practice getting it all right for you guys. So
That's right.
Very excited about the future, the next step of the channel.
That's right. Dialing it in. But yeah, the Chimegas, an OG subscriber. I mean, I think that's been since like, what, the first week of the channel, somewhere in there?
Yes, absolutely. Earl, I'm not sure. I don't think Kit knows either. We're not sure if he actually was, but he says the timing of it certainly made it feel like he was listening to the broadcast. As we're going to rough the punter again. Turn that down, too.
Yep. All right. 3 penalties that definitely need to be turned down.
Especially that one, because that's that is a free first down and a drive killer for your defense. Remember when the college football game first came out, everybody was roughing the punter every whip stitch, so I ended up having to turn that one off too.
Right. Yep, so we'll probably have to do that here. But yeah, Earl, that was my impression. I mean, it's possible he wasn't, but the timing of it seems so incredible, unlikely that he would be, those words, that timing, to not be responding to the broadcast. Especially with the broadcast reaction to it, because they reacted to it like he was talking to them. So it was, I don't know, it was super, super odd. So I thought for sure he was as well, but I don't know.
Yeah, that's a great question, Earl. We're not sure. Is the short version. We're not sure.
Well, my impression was it seemed to me like he certainly was, because it was it was just so unlikely that he would have said that in that moment with that timing and not be talking to them with what they had just said.
Yeah, that is pretty wild. Pretty wild. I'm sure he's got ears somewhere up there, with his eye on the sky ref or his, his guy who's going to buzz down to him if they need to look at it or whatever. So I'm sure he's got some communication with the people up there. I just didn't assume it would be the TV broadcast.
Right, but there was no delay. It was it was a zero delay. Like it wasn't like he had heard it from somebody else. Oh, hey, they're saying this. Like it was like an instant, they're saying the comment, instant response to that comment.
Yeah, absolutely. That is wild. Here's Pratt firing right side, and it's caught. And they're down to 24 seconds now, just one timeout remaining after they call number 2. And Fellegren popping in the Discord chat to say that the 53-man roster has been released, so I'll actually pull that up while you guys are watching. The Packers score. Oh, he was just out of bounds. As Pratt almost lays that thing in there.
And 504, this is just the preseason, so no real reason to restart for fixing the penalties. We can all blame it on the preseason, and that's what started this discussion about, hey, it's the preseason anyway. Yeah. It's preseason for everyone. We can call it it's preseason here for pnagsports too. So
absolutely,
where the points just don't matter. But yeah, we will get it dialed in and make sure that we make this game as possible, in particular before we get to the regular season, because that's our goal.
Absolutely, as that touchdown drive does occur with under 20 seconds, so it looks like the end of halftime management a little bit better as they manage those timeouts really nicely on that drive. All right, I'm looking at it right now. So as we talked about before, a couple of guys who you would expect to see coming, like Deontay Foreman got cut today. I fully expect him to re-sign with the Browns tomorrow.
Yep.
James Prochet, maybe. Justin Hardy, maybe. Tony Brown, maybe. Jermaine Afidi, maybe. Those are all your veterans who got cut today who could potentially come back. Michael Dunn on injured reserve but can come back. Himes on it so he's on a non-football injury. So is Chubb. Whippler on injured reserve. Michael Hall on the commissioner's exemption list. So that's all official. Other guys who were cut today: Juwan Briggs, Amarian Brown, Jalen Darden, Chris Edmonds, the safety, Siaki Ika, Sam Kamara, Zaire Mitchell-Payton. So maybe they're only going to keep 2 tight ends. Winston Reed, Lorenzo Thompson, Trayton Welch, the other tight end, and Michael Woods. So I'm sure things are happening over there. Oh, they're going to do it in numerical order. Greg Newsome, Juan Thornhill. We'll see if there are any surprises. How about that? I'm not going to read the entire roster for you, as we're going to get a punt here for the Browns.
Yes, Earl, that is absolutely correct. This is just the initial hack 53. It is not the final 53. In fact, even the 53 they take into week 1 is not the final 53.
That's
Remember,
true.
They're going to continue to tweak and massage this roster all the way through. and really, it really doesn't cement in the same way until the trade deadline.
Yep.
And then it's kind of really set for what you would call your 53. So that's really when your final 53 would be at the trade deadline. But then after that, even there's still some massaging of rosters. There's potential for free agents to be signed, and then you have to make room for them on your 53 and everything. So yeah, no doubt, this is definitely not the final 53. This is not the same 53 they're going to go into week one with. And a great example of that is Luke Whippler. We expect him to go on IR so that he has potential to return in the season. Because if they put him on IR before the 53, then he is not eligible to return this year. So fully expect that will happen, which means one of those guys that Phil was mentioning, whether that's Foreman, whether that's
it's got to be Foreman.
It's probably Foreman, but that's likely who they then re-sign in Luke Whippler's place.
So again, I finally found it by list, not number by number. So interestingly, they did keep all 4 quarterbacks on the initial 53. So they are really trying hard to trade one of them because they keep 4 quarterbacks on the initial 53. Only 2 running backs, as Winston's going to throw another pick 6 here. And house call for the Packers. Winston was terrible in this game. Yeesh.
Yeah, he's been pretty rough to be honest here. A bit difficult to watch Winston here in this preseason game. But yeah, go ahead. I was just saying. I mean, Winston wasn't bad for us in the preseason, but he also wasn't.
No.
He wasn't great.
No.
And I don't know if anybody who all might have seen my comment there in the channel in the Discord, but it's interesting to see the media's reaction to the potential that Winston could get traded, and when they're not. I mean, a lot of it is not really taking the Browns' organizational goals into account. It's all they're all talking about how he's a great motivational figure on the sideline with these pre-speech talks or pre-game speeches, and he's doing sprints with Mike Vrabel, and he's giving great quotes for us, and just going like, could you be a little less self-motivated here?
Yes, he's a media darling, clearly.
Exactly. Maybe look at the team's perspective and report on that, which in this case is, hey, you got a guy who costs quite a bit of money, who is valuable in terms of trade for potential quarterback-hungry teams, and you've got a quarterback that has proven his development in the preseason here in DTR. Brown's clearly comfortable with that as quarterback number 2 with DTR, so they're looking, is there an interested party out there to see if somebody might be interested in picking up Winston's contract. And then you can take that money and cap savings that you would instantly gain and spend it somewhere else.
Yep. So just wrapping this up, they only kept 2 running backs. So again, that's what we talked about, Foreman coming back. Ford and Strong, the only 2 kept. Did keep all 6 receivers that we had talked about. Did just keep the 2 tight ends, Akins and the Chief. Keeping 10 offensive line. So here's a good example. Javion Cohen, the guard, undrafted rookie free agent from Miami. They didn't want to expose him, and so they keep him on the 53 as we're going to get a really long touchdown pass from Michael Pratt. And a Toure into the end zone as the Packers are pouring it on the Browns now here in the second half. So there's an example of that. Otherwise, no surprises on the offensive line. They kept 9 defensive linemen. They kept 4 tackles and 5 edge players. All 6 of the linebackers that you would imagine. They kept 11 cornerbacks. Remember, we were trying to figure out who would be the 6 that they would keep. They actually keep 7 cornerbacks, including Khalif Halassi and Miles Harden, the late round draft pick as well. So again, guys that they maybe think they can slip to the practice squad after the fact, but didn't want to expose them to now. So interesting 53, and again, they'll do some roster gymnastics with that for sure. So yeah. Also, I saw interesting. I don't know if Kit, if you had seen this, we're going to get another holding call. This is brutal. They got rid of the rule about the secret extra quarterback call up. So now it's not. There's not going to be like a.
That's right. It got vetoed by the Players Association. They did not like the the potential that a quarterback is going to be just rostered on a practice squad, making significantly less money, and then kind of stuck in a bit of a purgatory there,
Yeah.
just bouncing between, because they would have had infinite number of call-ups available. There's no limitation to how many times you could do that under the new proposed rules, and the PA said no way.
Yep. Which means that teams will basically have to carry 3 on the active roster now.
That's right. That's right.
I think,
so especially, I mean, Browns fans should be familiar with that. I mean, how many quarterbacks did we have to use last year?
Right. Well, and I think technically speaking, are you still able to protect some of them?
You are still able to protect, but they are limited with how many call-ups before they just go to free agency. So you can't just keep endlessly keeping any of those guys on a practice squad. And so basically the emergency backup quarterback idea piece of it is shot down was shot down by the PA because that would have been allowed for all teams, but with endless call-ups, you could always have one available on the practice squad.
They're trying to get more of their guys' jobs and game checks. I mean, it makes sense. So, yes, Karen, I see that. After this drive is over, I will put another quarterback in for you, especially because he just threw interception number 3 on this one. All right, you're going to have to bear with me for a minute because I am not a PC gamer, and so me trying to figure out how to change these rosters could get a little bit dicey. So
you'll get used to it.
All right, so we're going to go back, and then we're going to go to tab. Oh, no, not that. There we go. I got it.
We could also always get you a controller so you feel more comfortable with this for moments like this.
That's true. We could do that. You want DTR or Huntley? Who do we want here, people? I guess I asked you, and then I'm not going to sit here and wait. Ford is fine. Tab, yeah, Earl. Come on, don't make fun of me. I'm trying my best here.
Earl calling for DTR.
All right, DTR it is. I think all the rest of these guys are okay. It's just when we get into the situational things here that we are like we don't need to see him anymore. For instance, we definitely don't need to see JOK anymore. How about Bush and Fields? And then we'll do Miles Harden. I like Miles Harden in the slot. Okay, and DTR it is. Back. Resume. Oh, boy. I feel like a small child using this thing for the first time. Not the first time, but you know what I mean. Okay, I think we got everybody in there.
In the early goings. Growing pains.
Growing pains indeed. You know what, Earl? They weren't. We have actually already changed them once. We found a couple articles where people like, this are the best Madden sliders that you can use. And clearly, they're a little heavy on the holding. Or they're not using them for this purpose where they're watching people sim.
I think that's the biggest reason is we have to remember that this is a very niche thing we are doing here in the game. In terms of Madden, it's not really what the game is created to do.
Sadly.
So most players don't do sliders intended for watching it in broadcast mode. They build the sliders intended for playing the game, which is not what we do here on the channel. And as a result, we have to then find ways to tweak said sliders to make them more usable for our purposes. But one of the things that this new setup, this new rig allows for us to do is much easier manipulation of those sliders and all of the factors. Now the individual player stats and stuff is way less daunting to go into and try to tweak when you're not trying to do that on a controller, but you've got a keyboard and mouse. You can do actual data entry. A lot simpler to do all around, not to mention the fact that we can actually start getting into, no kidding, modding of the game.
Correct.
which you cannot do on a PlayStation, which you certainly can do on a PC.
Yes, so once the game has been out for a minute, there will be people coming out with, use these for more realistic simulations, and we will figure those out when we get there. As Joseph, I think, pushes this one wide. It does. Oh, no, it doinked off of the crossbar after the upright. A double doinker.
A double doink.
Wild indeed. 34-10, but it's DTR time. As that ball is returned by Prochet up to about the 25-yard line. And here he comes, Dorian Thompson-Robinson. Earl, as they come out, yes, again, obviously not being a PC gamer until about 2 weeks ago, I obviously have never modded a game either. So it'll take a little bit of, I'm not going to just throw it in there until I know that we can do it effectively. But in theory, yes, we could mod the game. And incomplete, try to go to David Bell over the middle. Good coverage by the Packers. Yes. And sorry, Jeff, I missed you when you came in. Sorry, Sean, I missed you when you came in as well. Good to have you guys on. But, excuse me, but I didn't want to add too many. There's already like 6 new things to try, so we won't go to a 7th just yet. But I am already in the Madden Discord modding community, so I'm ready to go when they're ready to go. And we're going to get more holding again. This is getting a little out of control. It's also making the game extremely long. We're still not even halfway through the third quarter yet. Ford will try the right side. And nowhere to go. McDuffie over there. Again, appreciate everybody being on. Sorry we've been doing a lot of chatting other than the sim, but it is preseason after all. They're going to go 3 receivers to the left. And DTR, good time now. He'll roll to the right and chuck it away. It'll be 4th and 18, and a punt upcoming that cannot recover from the holding call. Earl, that is a good question. I can show you, let me go pull up the list, and I can give you a couple of examples. I mean, you can mod everything. Like, we could mod it so that Nick Chubb's picture comes up when I load the game instead of Christian McCaffrey's. Like, you can do little things like that. There are jersey mods, there are stadium mods, but there are some gameplay mods, which I think will be the ones that we're the most interested in. Let me see if I can just kind of generally go to some of the mods. There's lots and lots of franchise mods.
Yep. There's lots of mods to help the realism of the game.
Yes.
So that it looks more like football being played. I mean, there's lots of stuff, and realistically, our goal is to try to bring the very best product that we can. So we're gonna start seeing what we can do to continue to improve, as we always look to get better here at Nagy on Sports. And this new Nagy on Sports version 3.0 gives us the best flexibility now, thanks to one of our OG subscribers, Kai Megas, who donated a gaming PC that has allowed us to do way more here on the channel, as we're already into a bunch of changes that are very exciting, but more on the horizon as we continue to try to make the best product possible.
Yep, absolutely. So there's a couple people. Sabo appears to be one of the big names, and his gameplay slider mods are sort of like the creme de la creme, all those kinds of stuff. So anyway, we'll get into all that stuff eventually. But yes, I suppose a specific example of ways that it could make it a more real experience would be like the amount of times that wide open defensive backs drop interceptions.
Right.
Or those ones where we see, like, you know, the wide receiver stand there and Watson's pass goes the wrong direction. You know what I mean? Like, I think there's ways we can sort of enhance the realism of that. And then there are also some things like, if you're not a linebacker with 70 or higher on catching, like, then you're never going to get an interception. Like, there's some different things you can actually do where you're tweaking entire position groups at a time to make them more realistic. So there's some pretty intense levels of it, which again, we've only really scratched the surface by finding other people's favorite sliders that they use.
Right.
So,
But you will see some immediate changes already improved here with the new setup. One of the big things that has changed is a really nice run through the hole there and no holding to boot. Take that for sure. But one of the big advantages we've had here is just the ability to cut out the lag that we had between the audio for Phil and I, as we're now no longer stumbling over each other, as
Correct.
we've got seamless audio and timing. Once again, with him on a PC, allows us to have a more optimal setup where we're not sitting here and waiting to see if the other person is talking and then accidentally talking over each other.
Yes, hopefully it was never really that obvious to you, as we're going to get more holding. But yeah, I would sim from my PlayStation. I would send it to a secret Twitch account. Kit would pull up the Twitch on his computer, then send it to you via YouTube, and all of those things added in delay. So I would talk and then be quiet for a second to see if he would start talking. And so now we're pretty much just having a conversation like we would if we were sitting in the same room.
That's right, which is awesome.
And the other thing was that Kit would never be able to be on the mic unless he was at home. And now, of course, he has a job where he's traveling half the time. So he's literally sitting on his iPad, I believe, in a hotel in Idaho right now. And it's like he's at home on his computer.
That's right, sitting in Coeur d'Alene, Idaho, in a hotel room, and able to join for the very first time from on the road, which is just all kinds of awesome, and opens up a lot of potential opportunity to sim where otherwise I wouldn't be able to be on the call.
Set up tight end screen to the Chief, again, with only 2 tight ends on the roster. You're going to see the Chief back out there as the quote-unquote third tight end. Of course, Charlie Hewlett is the second tight end. Here comes Ford up the middle. He'll throw one man off of him. DTR's got his team down to the 1-yard line. Let's see if they can punch this one in for pride. I don't know. You'll have to ask Kit. I'm not sure the FAA would approve, potentially.
In theory, yes, but the audio would be really bad, and the Wi-Fi tends to be not great on those planes. Not to mention the Wi-Fi is not as so much for us as it is for our. Now on an empty leg, in theory, yeah, I could. But yeah, a lot more going on there. Actually, I have to do my job, so probably.
I was going to say he's also going to be trying to fly an airplane at the same time, so maybe you don't want him staring down at his phone, calling touchdowns.
So maybe not so much, but it is a fun idea. I do appreciate the idea.
Jerome Ford, nice job leaping over. They're going to go for 2. Why not? It's DTR. All he does is go out there and move the chains, get them into the end zone. Here's his 2-point conversion, and he'll go quickly. A little slant to the right side to David Bell, and that is 2 more points for the Browns. 9 plays, 60 yards. Took him 4:14 to get it done. But I will say that, it was worth a shot. I'm with you there, Earl.
Definitely worth a shot, and it certainly is something that in theory is possible. So I'm not saying it's impossible, but there's a lot of reasons why it's probably not a great idea. And you would definitely have a lot of background noise going on.
Oh, that's true.
All, the airplanes are not exactly quiet, so it'll be pretty loud there for me to try to join the broadcast from the cockpit.
Good tackle by Shelby Harris there in the middle. It was worth a shot. You are exactly right.
No doubt.
But we will take some feedback, specifically things on volumes. We're going to get some false start here. The game volume compared to Kit and I's voices. Again, we practiced a lot to get it dialed in, but we do have the ability to adjust those kinds of things if you're like, I can't hear you guys talking because the crowd's so loud, or if the crowd is not quiet, not loud enough. Now, again, down 34-18 in the third quarter of a preseason game. I don't think the Browns fans are making a ton of volume anyway, but you can still give us those pieces of feedback. Yes, the 2-point being gray instead of green. You're right. The little changes. Well, those are just Madden. Those are just Madden 25 changes.
And I have some of that feedback already. I've got one of our viewers texting me with some feedback on all that stuff, so I'll get you that here after we're done.
Cool. All right, Earl, appreciate that feedback as well. Trips to the right side, but they're not going to get to the play before 000. So finally, we're heading to the fourth quarter. Longest sim ever, thanks to 72 holding penalties. And a lot of points for the Packers as LaFleur feels good about his team. It's funny.
Well, that piece
go ahead.
at least has been realistic.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, I would say it's funny. I think I saw an article about how, like, it was called, like, why Kevin Stefanski doesn't care about the preseason, and that's okay. Right. You know what I mean? Like, some coaches clearly take different approaches. You know, for them, it's get reps, it's see what it looks like, but they're not showing anything. They're not doing anything. Right. You know what I mean? None of their kick return stuff, none of their defensive stuff. They don't need to play their starter. Like, we don't need to see Nick Chubb or Myles Garrett or even Deshaun Watson. Like, we don't need to see those guys play, and that's okay.
They have good reasons for that.
We went 0-3. It doesn't matter. Those kinds of things.
It does not. It does not. It's really about execution and getting a look at the depth in your roster, and also don't forget, those guys getting to play is really important to those guys. Kevin is very invested in making sure he does right by his players, and that is a big way of doing right by his players, because you got to remember those guys are all auditioning for the NFL. Whether or not it's for the Browns, it very well could be to be on a practice squad somewhere else, or maybe make a 53 somewhere. That's what all those guys want to do, and getting the playing time for them is the only way to do it. Putting it on film. That's what you have to get hired in the NFL. It's like building a resume, man. So he's actually doing all of his guys a huge solid by giving them the playing time so they get the tapes, so they have an opportunity to make a roster somewhere. And that's really important for those guys. And that's a big part of Stefanski's philosophy and the culture he's built here, and part of the reason why his players love playing for him.
Yep, absolutely.
But I don't know if you watched the there was a Q video today with Cameron Justice.
Okay, I did not see it.
So she kind of confirmed exactly what we already knew and had been talking about. But she having been out there watching them practice and seeing the offense really starting to evolve and become what you expect, and talking about just how very vanilla everything in this preseason has been compared to what they're working on in practice, and that's exactly what we thought it was. But that's an important thing to note, that yes, in fact, what we're seeing in this preseason is super vanilla, and even with it being super vanilla, you're seeing things that you like seeing, like us stretching the field and starting to do, getting guys open in space and doing good things on offense, and a very deep wide receiver room, which you certainly love to see.
Yep. It's all made up, and the points don't matter until next weekend. As we're going to get more holding here, and another nice play to Akins that's going to come back. I guess, or I never heard that he wasn't. I know sometimes they would get, he'd let Van Pelt call a game or whatever last year, so I suppose there's technically a game that Dorsey could have called, but I sure didn't hear. They didn't make a big deal about it. If he did, as Hines is going to go for one on the draw. I do appreciate a Madden 25 fix. Remember, anytime they would run a draw play, it was always a really high snap. He would jump. Yeah. He would jump and catch it high and then run the draw. They run regular snaps before a draw. And here's another big gainer to Akins that will come backwards for holding.
Penalties.
Unbelievable. Jed, the backup left tackle. He did, Earl. He did. All six of the linebackers that we expected made it, including the rookie Watson and Diabate as well. So yeah, Hicks, Bush, JOK as your first three, Fields, Diabate, and Buki Watson as your second three. He did, really, yes. Does this shock you? Are you not a Devin Bush fan?
There's a lot of Devin Bush hate out there, and I think Q is kind of leading the charge on that, which I don't really understand. I think Devin Bush is a lot better than people are giving him credit for.
Is it his Steelers heritage?
Maybe, I don't know, but we'll see. We'll see what they do with him in this defense. I think he has a lot of potential to bring, and I think he's one of those players that, give him time to see if they can develop him in their scheme, and if they do, and kind of meet that ceiling that he has the potential for. If he's one of those kind of players, he's got a high ceiling, and if you can unlock that ceiling, in your system, then all the more power to you, and certainly love what you'd be getting out of that. But if you don't, it's a low cost, low risk kind of thing.
Yep, we're going to get an interception from Cam Mitchell there. And the Browns will start at their own 3, make it their own 2 now.
Yeah, Q has been leading the charge on the Bush hate. I don't understand the Bush hate personally. I think it's very much in line with what AB has done multiple times and had a lot of success with. Don't forget, Maurice Hurst is a guy like that.
Yep.
He's a guy that was a very high potential. There was a lot of risk. But not a lot of risk. Sorry, it's a very low risk, low cost, but high potential. And look what they did with Maurice Hurst. He had a great season for us last season. It's looking like he's going to have a really good season for us again this season. He's a great rotational piece in that line that you depend on.
Yeah.
So you certainly love what you got out of him, and that is only because they went out and brought in a dude with high potential and unlocked the potential. So that's what they're looking to do with Bush, and I think very much there's a lot showing that they have an opportunity at least to unlock it, and they've had success doing that. So I don't have any hate for Bush personally. Whether or not he's from the team up north or from the Steelers or any of that, I can understand why people,
which he is both, yes. He's like a double whammy.
He is both of those things, but he is still a high potential guy. There's a reason why he was drafted as high as he was, and if the Browns can unlock that, then all the more power to us. I'd rather see the Browns succeed than care about where he came from.
Yep. As Pratt will check this one out of bounds. I wondered, too, if part of it, and again, this isn't necessarily meant to be a negative thing, but I think what Jim Schwartz asks of his linebackers is pretty simple, right? I don't think there's a lot of thinking that is involved, right?
Exactly.
Same thing with the D-line. It's just get off the ball and attack. And so I think for the linebackers, it's okay, now do this. You know what I mean? So I think maybe part of the reason he struggled in Pittsburgh is maybe he was trying to think too much to fit into the defense.
Right. And it's the same reason, because, their scheme is a lot more, cerebral for the linebackers, which, you need a certain type of linebacker for that. That's why you've seen the guys like JOK really flourish in the system. I mean, he's looked really good, but, he is that quick twitch guy, and if he can get a instant read and react type defense, which is what this defense is, he's going to be awesome in that. And I think Bush is very much the same kind of thing, and if you can unlock that potential, then you're going to have a lot of success there. And yes, it's not just a first-round pick; it's a top 10. I think he was picked in the top 10.
Yeah. A long completion to Tillman, checking the flags. I don't think we got one. Finally, a big chunk play for the Browns on offense as they are 100 yards behind the Packers here today. DTR, quick little throw to Hines. A big shot from the linebacker McDuffie, but he holds on to the football. Bunch formation to the right side. So again, appreciate everybody being on. This one was a lot of fun. Again, we've detailed it several times over the course of the video. You can go back and watch, especially go watch the beginning of the video, so I got some new things in there as well. But we're excited about this new season, and we're going to get these preseason games wrapped up here in the next few days. And then again, sometime middle of next week, Kit and I will bring you the official Browns and Cowboys sim. Very excited about that. All while finishing up the college football playoff and getting our Ohio State season sim going, because they start this weekend.
That's right.
Hines to the right side, and he goes nowhere. That should be a good one, Earl. Should be a good one. Charlie Hewlett into the game as an extra tight end. I love that the long snappers are just poorly rated tight ends.
So dumb.
They're like the first guys to get cut for everyone. And again, there's no real you don't get penalized for not having a long snapper. You just put a random offensive lineman in there and they're fine. But I think they just need to make its own category.
Right. They do.
Wendell, that would be a negatory because college football was not released for PC, at least not yet.
It will be eventually.
Console only.
Until it is. Yeah, until it is, it's a console-only setup, so that would mean it'd have to be the old way of doing business on the NCAA front. But on the other hand, once it is released, then we can look at doing that one on the new setup as well.
Yep, the Browns are definitely the bread and butter, the meat and potatoes of the channel, so that's why we wanted to make the change for them. Oof, big hit there as Ford goes to the ground, 3rd and 3. DTR trying to go his second little sneaky touchdown for him, and he does to Cedric Tillman. 2 touchdown drives from DTR.
Yeah, DTR looking good in certain moments of this game for sure. That one of them, no doubt, as Tillman just in a beautiful position, setting up in that little curl and able to create some space for himself in the back of the end zone. And Tillman put it right on him. Or excuse me, DTR put it right on him.
His high school teammate, Cedric Tillman.
That's right. That's right.
I think they said there are 6 guys from that team that are in the NFL right now. Quarterback and wide receivers.
A good team.
Yeah.
That's a good team.
We're going to get a onside kick here. Hopkins will try one. It lingers around. It's on the ground and then finally picked up by the Packers.
I was going to say, first look at it here in Madden 25, and that one actually had potential.
I guess that's not something they really talk about on the broadcast, because don't you have to, like, declare? You're like, hey, we're going to kick onside.
Yep.
Yeah, so that the other team can prepare for it.
It has to be, it can only be done, I think, in the last so much time
certain
left in the
minutes
game.
of games, whatever, yeah.
And you have to be down. So there's all kinds of stipulations for it.
Just take all of the potential surprise that somebody might actually catch you off guard and get one. At least the Browns are... Nope, they are going to call their timeouts. Why not? Is there a
I'd still rather a fourth and like
25 or whatever, yeah,
from the 10-yard line or something as a you have to convert this to keep the ball.
And if you don't, the other team gets the ball right there at the 10, yeah.
Right, yeah.
Make it more punitive for failing, but a more reasonable thing to get.
Yep.
Browns,
that's what I would be in favor of anyway.
Browns still calling timeouts here for reasons unknown, because I'm not familiar with any 12-point plays in the game of football. Marshawn Lloyd's been a workhorse today. More laundry on the field here. Yeah, not surprising, Wendell. I think he was going to start from the second they got him. And they're going to have some packages for Fields, would be my guess. And if he struggles, then Justin's going to be in sooner than later.
Yep, and I fully expect him to struggle. That I really still strongly feel that offense is not suited to really either of those quarterbacks. What they're trying to do is not, kind of the strong suit of either Russell Wilson or Justin Fields. So it's an odd look to me. They're just they're kind of thrift store bargain basement shopping for QB and hoping to strike it rich. But if it's not a scheme fit, what are we doing?
Yeah. Well, I know a bunch of you are jumping back off, which is great. I really appreciate you being on for the first sim of the brand new season using the brand new game. And again, the preseason games are sort of just meh. But it is at least fun to get on into Chat Browns, especially because the real 53-man roster came out while we were on the broadcast. We're going to get one more kneel down here from the Packers. Not that there's a bunch to wrap up, Kit, but why don't you go ahead?
Yeah, certainly very excited. I mean, some realism here in this preseason game, and certainly some things to tweak with, especially the penalties were a bit on the ridiculous side, but we'll continue to work on that. Very excited for the new Nagy Sports 3.0, as it was a lot of fun doing this one, and certainly some exciting new things and more to come in the future as we continue to hone our craft.
That's exactly right. Hone our craft indeed. All right, this one does come to an end, 37-25. We will look at the stats, but just the Browns stats today. We don't necessarily need to see the Packers stats. DTR had a nice game, 16 for 21, 157 and a touchdown. Watson was 4 for 4 for 66. That's what you want from your starter in a preseason game. Winston, on the other hand, 6 for 15 for 66 yards and 4 interceptions. That is not what you want. Ford, 12 for 46. Chubb averaged 7.5, 4 for 30. Naheem Hines, pretty good game for him as well, 4 for 27. Watson had 1 scramble in this one. Tillman, your leading receiver, 6 for 55 and a touchdown. Akins, 5 for 96. I wonder how many more of those he could have had without holding calls. Bell, 5 for 47. Thrash with 2, 2 for Ford, 2 for Chief. Hines, Moore, Judy, and Cooper each caught their obligatory 1 and then got out of the game. Leading tackler, M.J. Emerson and Buki Watson, both with 9, 8 for McLeod, 7 for Fields. in this one. Interceptions, 2. 1 for Mitchell and 1 for the nuisance. Of course, he ran it all the way back. Mike Hall Jr., a sack and a half. Isaiah McGuire, who did make the 53, getting the other half as well. So, all right, guys, this one was a lot of fun. And we're going to go back over to this screen and try not to screw it up in the process. But we do really appreciate you being on with us. And, I think I just made Kit's voice go away. So we'll figure that out here. Let me add his back. We're going to do this on the fly, baby, because that's what we do. But we appreciate you guys being on. And, oh, never mind. I can't do it right now. So, Kit, they're not going to hear you say, go Browns. I apologize. But I got to get you added. I got to get you added to the load screen. So, anyway, guys, this one was a lot of fun. We do really appreciate it. And thank you so much again to all of our subscribers. We'll be back better than ever with more sim action just a little bit later. For Kit out in Idaho, Phil here in Central Ohio, we are Nagy on Sports. Today we will say go Packers. And as always, go Browns!